Hey you guys, Bird here from Double Vision. Today we're going to take these sconces, which I usually call a scone. This is a sconce. This is a scone. This is a sconce. This is a scone. So if I get them confused, please just roll with it. But today, Stacey and I are going to take these sconces and we're going to upcycle them and turn them into something a little more unique and practical.
Thanks, Bird. Remember, kids, you eat a scone with your afternoon tea, and you light a sconce in the evening so you can see. Now I'm going to turn this outdated sconce into a less outdated sconce. So let's get going. First, I'm going to unscrew the taper candle holder and remove it. Then I'm going to sand down the area to create a smooth surface. So I want to fill the cutout heart so that I can decoupage on top of it. So I'm using an air dry clay. I'm just shoving it in there and smoothing it out. I don't know if this is going to work. I guess we'll find out. So while we're waiting for that to dry, let's go check in with Bird and see what she's up to.
Thanks, Stacey. First thing I'm going to do over here is start with a 60 grit sandpaper and sand down my project completely. It probably would have helped if I took this apart ahead of time, but here we are. Any excuse to come inside. Can you even see that? Just screw in there. Let's take that apart. Okay, let's get back to it. Here's my sconce all done with the 60 grit sandpaper. Next thing I'm gonna do is go over it real quick with 220 grit. While I finish up the last few details, let's go check in with Stacey.
Thanks, Bird. So I let my clay dry for a couple of days and it looks like it worked. Air dry clay isn't really hard, it's just spongy, but that'll work for this. So I sanded the front and the back so it'll be a nice smooth surface for my decoupage. Now it's time for some decoupage. So I'm going to use some sheets from this gift wrap pack that I got at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Decoupage, you can use any kind of paper. You got napkins, gift wrap, scrapbook paper, whatever. Origami paper works really well, but we're gonna use this today. And I think the key to decoupaging with multiple prints is to make sure that the prints are in the same color family, then they will blend together nicely. Or the same print and different colors works really well as well. For example, this is a pumpkin I made using 3 different prints in the same colors. And here's some Easter eggs I made using the same print in 3 different colors. For more decoupage items, click on the link below for my Etsy store, and Bird's too. So let's get started. For this project, I'm going to use a patchwork technique, which is my favorite. So that involves tearing the paper into little irregular shapes, and then I use tiny scissors to trim off any jagged areas or bits of white, because I don't like that. And then I take my Mod Podge and put some on the back and some on the piece itself, and then glue it on. When you're working with items that have curves, you're going to have to kind of maneuver the paper around the curve, push an edge down till it's flat, and then take your scissors and cut a little slit, press that down, cut as many slits as you need to until you've curved it all around the curve. Then you go on to your next print, overlapping the papers and filling in the holes. So let's speed this up a bit. I enjoy doing this. It can take a while and be a little tedious, but I love watching a new pattern come together made out of individual patterns. Oh, Katniss has joined the chat. And so here we go, building, going further and further to the top. And you see how I just covered up that heart with the paper. Worked perfectly fine. You never know it was there at all. And because I'm kind of extra, I did the back as well, even though it's going to be up against the wall. And here's my sconce all decoupaged and ready for next steps. But before we move on to that, let's see what Bird's been up to, shall we?
Thanks, Stacey. Okay, here's my sconce. It's all sanded down and prepped and ready for the rest of my process. I took some stamps from my homemade stamp collection that I adore, and I used those to create an illustration on my sconce. I used a permanent ink pad to put the stamps onto the wooden sconce. After the stamps dried, I went in with acrylic paint to add some color to the illustration. After my paint dried, I went in with some colored pencils just to add a little depth. I enjoy doing this because the tones vary, and to me personally, I feel like I have a little bit more control. After I added what detail I wanted to my stamps, I diluted some really pretty sky blue paint. I mixed it with a little bit of white, I believe. And then I painted the entire sconce. When you dilute the acrylic paint, it helps the wood grain come through, and I very much adore that effect. So far, so good. I absolutely love how this is coming along. I'm gonna finish up a few details here, let it finish drying. Let's go check in with Stacey.
Thanks, Bird. Now I'm going to seal my decoupage with some satin Mod Podge. I'm using 3 or 4 coats because I want it to appear like it's one solid sheet of paper on there. Katniss is trying desperately to get Mod Podge all over herself here, but so far she has not succeeded. After it dries, I'm going to take it outside and spray it with some spray Mod Podge to get rid of all the tackiness. Then I'm going to glue on a little leather loop with E6000 and then staple it into place. Finally, I'm going to stick on a puck light right under the shelf. This one just has adhesive, changes colors, and then you press it right on there. So here's my finished sconce. I love all the patterns of blue. It fits in really well with my decor. And here it is, styled with a cute faux plant. The puck light has a remote, so here it is lit up. I think it turned out great. This is not its permanent location, but I am absolutely going to hang this up on my wall. So thanks for crafting with me. Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks, Stacey. Okay, so now I need to reassemble my sconce so I can add the last finishing touches. I turned over that little shelf, and where the original hole was screwed in, where that little wooden piece was, I added a golden hook. I moved that little wood piece up to the top and used the same screw to just add that in there nice and secure. It was a little too plain, so I added the craft ladybugs. I glued the little bugs on with just some super glue, and then I went over the entire sconce, about 2 or 3 layers, with my favorite Mod Podge. I use the dishwasher safe. I feel like it gives a lot more of a sturdy, less tacky finish. I let it dry and it was time for action. My walls at home are very full, so we hung it up at my mom's house. We had a little air plant and a nice, cute little hanging plant down at the bottom. Thank you so much for crafting with us. If you've recreated a sconce, Stacey and I would love to see it. And as always, have the best day and go make something. Thank you so much for crafting with us.
Like, subscribe, and share this video to help our channel grow.
And be sure to stay tuned to see what we'll be doing next. Our next video will be out soon.
Which one of our pets will make an appearance? You'll just have to wait and see.
And click the links below to check out our Etsy shops and see what we're doing on social media.
See you next time. Bye.
Ciao.